All right, so that should have us going live there pretty soon here, hopefully. There we go. Now I need to collect the link, send it to my Discord channel. There we go. Got to toss into the streams as well. So those people who are unable to make it can check it out later as well. All right, so we have posted in the Discord channel. We are now live. We can close out of here. And here we are in game. So we are just getting started here. Let's see. Get settled in. Hey Gary, nice to have you here. Hello Glenn, nice to have you here as well. You guys are on top of the game. You guys are here early. I love that and appreciate it. Hope you guys have been doing well. It's been, let's see, this week hasn't been super crazy, but there's definitely been some ups and downs. Hopefully you guys are all hanging in there. And today's going to be definitely a little bit more of a chill day. Next week we will be talking about what to expect for March, which typically has, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Hero Wars anniversary. Hey Onegro, nice to have you here. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. I always love seeing people come to the live streams. It means a lot. Okay, so as I've been saying earlier, just kind of going to be a pretty chill day today. We're just going to be hanging out for the most part. Obviously, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. More than happy to assist in any way that I can. But yeah, so it's been a pretty good week for me so far in Hero Wars. Right now we have a ×4 sale, right? How am I doing tonight? I'm doing pretty well. So, today I was able to snag the first spot in Arena. I probably got knocked down by now. Yeah, so I'm down to 5. But, I was able to snag that #1 ranking spot while my reward time was up. So that was amazing. So this week was the first time that I actually hit the first place ranking, I guess we'll call it. So I've hit it a couple times now this week, which is really cool. I think we can actually see how many times I did on this account. So I think this is actually off by 1. I think this was my 3rd day in a row of ranking first, but I'd have to double check. I have at least 2 this week, which is pretty cool. Prior to this week, I had never placed first in Arena. I've always placed 2nd or 3rd or 4th, but I've never been able to get to first. So pretty stoked that I was able to do that. So that was a huge accomplishment. Hello, Alexandra. Nice to have you here. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming in. And yeah, so that was a big accomplishment for me personally, to be able to rank first. That was definitely a goal of mine, and it's been pretty cool to actually be able to actually rank first. I mean, it's very difficult too because you see a bunch of different teams in Arena. So I think for me, the toughest teams to overcome are definitely the ones with Anvari. Sometimes I'll see, teams that are like 100K or more stronger than me, which, then you kind of have to be very tactical and make sure that you know the synergetic advantages that you have. I mean, especially with me, I'm very limited and I focused a lot on Kark, so I have to maximize his utility. But yeah, so that's been how I've been doing tonight. So doing pretty well. Um, so really good overall. Other than that, just doing some law school stuff and I recently I'm on a journal, so which I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but basically I help out with other academics. It's basically writing kind of a thesis in law school, kind of a deal, and helping other people with writing their own. So I've been promoted within that as well. So that was a thing that happened today. So that was my day, honestly. That took up a lot of my day. But yeah, hopefully you guys are all doing well too. Thank you for asking, Onegro. I hope you are doing well as well as everyone else here who is in chat. So yeah, so the heroes that I've been focusing on the most lately, of course, Astaroth. I'm trying to finish up as much of his glyphs as possible. So here, I still have to finish this magic defense one, but I'm still pretty far away. So I try to upgrade it whenever I can. I mean, realize that I can't use everything that I have. I also think I had some gifts that I didn't claim yet, so maybe I should look in there to see if I have any more runes. Let's see. And also, if anyone here plays mobile as well, just a heads up, there will be a Jew Soulstone event happening in about an hour and a half for those of you guys who are on mobile. So just a heads up with that, because I know some people do like to play mobile as well, like myself. And a couple other things that came up. So this is, a reward that I got for my #1 ranking, which is cool. I'm going to claim that. And then today I actually got a message in the mail from, the game itself, right? So this is Hero Wars. They're saying, hi, we're inviting you to participate in our video creators program survey. You are a part of our program, so your feedback would be greatly appreciated. Click the button below to take part in the survey. I think it's important to be transparent. I did see this earlier, but I figured I would show it to you guys here on my stream as well, just so that you guys are in the loop. You guys shouldn't be, in my opinion, left out, because, I mean, again, you guys are part of what makes creators, right? So once you do that, it kind of takes you into this survey, and basically they ask you kind of like where you are ranked within their program. They ask you, are the rank requirements clear? Are you satisfied with the different bonuses? And then to pick statements that you agree with, as well as, I mean, I haven't filled this out myself yet, but I figured I would show you guys just so you guys were aware of what's going on. I personally like to be very transparent. I know other creators don't like that. That's just not my style. I like to be as open and share all the information that I can. Especially, I just think it's fair for everyone to have equal opportunity in terms of seeing things. I realize, I might get in trouble later. Hopefully not. But yeah, so this is just between you guys and me and anyone else who ends up watching this video. But yeah, so I think it's important to show you guys, because I think this is something that you have to be aware of. Other creators doing as well. So they ask what of all the bonuses, what's the most important one to you. I personally, I haven't filled this out yet, but I will be definitely doing the chance to, well, special sendable in-game gifts, I think, is going to be kind of one thing that I think is going to be the most important to me, because that's my goal right now. I want to be able to give back to the Hero Wars community. And I mean, as much as these are like pretty cool, I kind of think a lot of these are all self-promoting. So I mean, yeah, mentioning the Hall of Fame is really cool. So is 6 months of Valkyrie's Favor, as well as a chance to get a shout out in the Hero Wars social media page. In-game avatars, I think, are an awesome bonus, as well as frames. But an opportunity to create content with the community managers, that's cool. But these are very self-promotional items, and for someone like me, the whole reason I have kind of continued to be a part of the Hero Wars community, especially when it comes to creating content, is because I want to give back to the Hero Wars community, because I think we have such a great community that it just makes sense to continue to give back to all the people who have supported us to get to where we are. I realize not everyone's on the same page with that. I know some people think that this is the most important thing, but yeah, I personally think special sendable in-game gifts for running contests and giveaways is kind of the coolest thing, as well as being able to give back, especially to the newer players. I just think it's invaluable, and it allows for a stronger community, which we already have a really great community. Hey Karsten, nice to have you here. Good evening. And absolutely, I 100% agree, Onegro. That is 100% right. So that's kind of where I stand. I know, there's a couple other questions here, like basically, if you could add one thing, what would it be? I'm always open to hearing what you guys think as well. So if you guys, were like, hey, what could Jay do a little bit better, or what could Hero Wars do better for Jay so that he can help us? So I'm always more than open to hearing suggestions, whether it's about me personally being better, because I always like to be better, or if there's anything related to the game or anything like that, I'm more than happy to voice the community's opinion to the higher ups. I have no fear of doing that. You know, I'm not basically Hero Wars number one golden child. I haven't been doing the longest, so I'm more than happy to speak up for people who have concerns and stuff like that. I'm not afraid to go against Hero Wars a little bit if it's gonna help make the game better. So always happy to help out in any way that I can. So feel free to let me know whatever you guys are thinking as well. Hey Melissa, nice to have you here. How am I doing? I'm doing great. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of I got a survey today, a video creators program survey, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys basically what we are, what we get in terms of, they ask us for feedback, and so we try to give feedback back to Hero Wars, um, as well as kind of, I personally like to have everyone involved in the process. So I think even though, they ask me or someone else that's a creator personally, I think it's important that everyone's on the same page and is aware of what's going on when it comes to things Hero Wars is doing, as well as obviously they're going to be merging soon with a new company. Well, I guess they are technically already have. So I think it's important just to keep everyone in the loop and kind of be on the same page. So I'm sharing the Video Creators Program survey with you guys. I realize most creators probably won't, but I think it's important to be transparent. And my goal is to always give back to the community. So I think it's great that I'm able to share this with you guys. I got this today. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'll probably be filling that out as soon as I'm done with my live stream. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that. Another thing that has happened for me is I've been very lucky in my rankings in Arena. So I actually ranked first for the first couple of times this particular week. Um, so I ranked first about an hour ago, and I actually ended up holding on to the position long enough because my time ended about 40 minutes ago, and so now, you know, now that Philip's in first, I have no problems because there's no reason for me to really press too hard. I got my first place. So that was pretty cool. It would be nice to see more puzzle-based mini games as events. Okay, absolutely. I actually kind of agree too because I think they have I don't want to be like the misleading, info where they get you into the game by having all these puzzles and then there aren't very many puzzles. So I definitely think that's something I can definitely try to push a little bit more and let them know that we want more puzzles. So I think that's a great point. Thank you for that. I will definitely. I agree. Actually, I personally definitely agree, and I think puzzles are definitely cool, and I think that they should be more incorporated in the game, like you said. But yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to just kind of go back over was that obviously rankings here. So yeah, I've this week I finished in first place 3 times in arena. So I was I'm pretty stoked on that accomplishment in my opinion. Kind of a big deal. I've never done it before, so 3 times in one week for me was exciting to say the least. So I'm pretty happy with those results. I still need to do it 27 more times before I can get that really cool frame, but that is kind of what happened for me. Yep, like how I was hoodwinked into playing the game. I was under the impression that the game was puzzle based. Yep, absolutely. I was in the same boat. I actually thought that it was going to very much be a puzzle based game, and it wasn't. So they got me too. That's exactly how they got me. Hey, Nathan, nice to have you here. I am live. I am live. Thank you for stopping in. Basically, a couple things that you may have missed, Nathan, and everyone else who's coming in right now. We basically have a video creators program survey that I've briefly covered and kind of showed you guys what we're looking at as creators, and this came out I think today, so I'll probably be filling it out later tonight. So as soon as the stream's over, but I wanted to just run through it. You guys can always go back and look at kind of some of the questions that came up. And one thing that I said was, if there's anything that I can do to be better, in terms of content or if there's anything that you guys want me to bring up to Hero Wars itself, as it relates to either the content or the Hero Wars Creators Program, just let me know and I'll try to do my best to push it up the ladder. So yeah, I just wanted to be transparent with you guys and let you guys be aware that this was a thing. And other than that, I think the only other thing that I've been talking about is that Arena has been going really well for me. So you're all up to date now, and if you're on mobile, I guess the other thing is there will be a Jew event starting in about an hour and 20 minutes. So those are all things that are going on right now. Um, and yeah, Karsten, I completely understand that. They totally, they got me too because I remember thinking that the game would be heavily puzzle based, which is like for me, I think puzzles are pretty cool. So I was very, I don't know if I was disappointed, but I was definitely like, huh, maybe I just didn't get to the puzzle section yet, and I kept playing, and then eventually got to a point where I really liked the game, but I forgot about the puzzles, and I was like, oh man, what happened to these puzzles, So, kind of a bummer on that one. But yeah, I can definitely try to promote that and say, hey, thanks Hero Wars for adding some more, but we would like even more puzzles and stuff like that because, you know, I mean, I don't want to be like the ones that they have on the Facebook page are a little bit dull because you don't actually get to physically be moving any pieces, but I definitely think there's something to actually getting to do the puzzles yourself that is super rewarding and fun in itself. So I agree. I wanted to help Galahad cross a bridge and I ended up here. Oh no, yeah, they definitely got you on that one. Yeah, what was the one that I had seen? I think the one that I'd seen the most is Aurora, like just being tied up with like basically like in a chamber kind of situation, and then you need to like free her from the hold in terms of like the handcuffs and stuff. So that was a pretty that was one that I saw early on that I was like, huh, this would be pretty cool if you move these different pins, if we'll call them that. You'd be able to free her. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that kind of ended up having me click on it, which led me to Hero Wars. So I completely get that. That's you're not you guys are not alone at all. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. But I appreciate you guys sharing your stories because I love it because I'm in the same boat as well. I would like if you could change your glyphs and artifacts somehow. I mean, if I didn't work on the twins too much yet, it's pretty much a lost thing for me next 2 years. Okay, when you say you would change that, what do you mean by that? So, um, are you saying you would like could you maybe elaborate on that, Renee? I hear what you're saying that it's definitely difficult if you focus on the wrong heroes, but could you maybe like elaborate a little bit more? Like, do you mean like if you could like maybe deselect or take them off of a hero, like reset it, like similar to how you can reset sparks, or could you maybe just like elaborate on it just so I'm on the same page? I don't want to like misconstrue what you're saying. So if you could clarify a little bit for me, that would be huge. And what I mean here is like where you can like basically reset and get your resources back, then basically put them on a different hero. I want to know if that's what you mean or something else. I think that would be pretty cool if you could let me know, and we can go from there. One thing that I think personally Hero Wars can do better is have a slightly better drop rate when it comes to pet summoning. I personally think it's ridiculous that each pet summoning can grant you one soul stone. Like that's crazy to me. I don't think that's cool personally. So that's one thing I personally definitely think could be improved upon. Um, I don't know. That's just me though. But yeah, in terms of creating content, I don't know. I personally don't mind having a creators program. I think it makes more people want to become a creator. I don't have a problem with that, and I think the more content that's out there, the better for everyone else. So that's my opinion on it. But yeah, I think it would be cool too. And I'm not sure if Melissa's talking about it would be cool if we could reset all of our glyphs and artifacts, but I think that would be cool, especially if we could get all of our items back because that would make it easier on all the players. I mean, maybe you have a limit to how many times you could do that, or maybe they force you to pay a small amount. But I do think that having the ability to do that um, is would be pretty nice, especially for someone who maybe accidentally put all their resources into a lesser hero. But yeah, I definitely also think that eggs drop rates are terrible. So that's something that needs to improve in my opinion. Yeah, hey Renee, I completely hear you and I understand. I do think, once you start on a path, sometimes you just kind of keep going with it. And the good thing about the one thing that I always am impressed with Hero Wars about, I mean, I realize we're always giving solutions to Hero Wars, but one thing that I think Hero Wars does a really good job of is rebalancing some characters because some characters kind of fall behind. So I will say, even though if you focus on the wrong hero, quote unquote wrong hero, ultimately, usually I think there are some, um, rebuffs and kind of, restructuring of heroes to make them better. So I will say Hero Wars has done a pretty good job, in my opinion, of trying to close the gap between certain heroes because some hero gaps prior to some updates were pretty disproportionate. So I hear what you're saying, and I think that would be cool to have like a reset button, like once a month. Okay, yeah, I definitely think that that would be cool. I'm not really sure how they would go about it because I know that there's a little bit of engineering stuff that goes into that, but I definitely think that that would be a cool solution or suggestion. I would probably definitely try to, um, promote that to Hero Wars for sure. I think that's awesome. Um, so somehow to repuzzle your glyphs and artifacts, I agree. I think that would be cool. And Carson, yep, it would be nice to have a reset button like once a month. Absolutely. Since it takes 2,000 pet stones for 6 star. Yeah, that is absolutely crazy in my opinion. Like they should be able to give you more pet soul stones than like one at a time. That's 2,000 eggs, and like that's assuming that you get all of the exact same pet every time. If I mean, there are like very lucky drops where you get 100, but that's so rare. Like it's crazy. Hey OBD, nice to have you here. Good evening from the Bronx, New York. All right, well, I love to have someone who is also in New York on this stream. I love that. I hope you're doing well and staying warm. It is a chilly one out there right now. My guild master says I need to make some changes in my main lineup because I have too many supports. My main team is Astaroth. Okay. So, yeah, tell me more about your team and we can definitely. Okay, so you got Astaroth, Yasmin, Jorgen, Nebula, and Martha. Well, I personally don't see anything wrong with this team. I will say one thing to be careful about is when you have a Yasmin team, if Helios is on the opposing team, that will be a very difficult matchup because Helios really is an anti-Yasmin hero. So I personally, when I see Yasmin, one thing that I like to have in addition to Yasmin is let me see. I believe it's Ching Mao is one of the heroes that I personally really like to have. So Ching Mao is, in my opinion, in my opinion, she's still slept on in terms of her usage and how often people actually utilize her skills. She's actually a very, very strong hero, especially when upgraded correctly. I would say with your team, OBD, it may be helpful to add, Ching Mao to your arsenal in place of maybe like Nebula, for example. Um, if you come across someone who's very very strong, especially again, I just think Helios is a anti Yasmin hero. So if you come across someone who has Yasmin, that kind of wrecks your team because you're really reliant on your Yasmin to do most of the damage for your team. So you're in a similar situation where I am. So I use Kark, right? Kark is my main hero. When it comes to my teams are very centered around Kark. Um, I mean, I do have a Jew that's decently strong now because I needed him for Seymour, but I personally don't have the right heroes to utilize Jew to his max. So I'm most comfortable with Kark anyway. So this is gonna be like your Yasmin. So I personally don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of support for your main hero. But I will say sometimes it's good to have a second helpful attacker, if you will. And the only reason I say that is because, let's say I come across Anvari. When I come across Anvari, um, oftentimes I need to find a solution to basically work around him, or I just avoid that opponent altogether. So I think adding in Ching Mao or potentially even Faceless could be very beneficial to your team. Um, but I overall I like your team. I personally have no problem with the number of supports that you have, but I do think having Ching Mao will just give you more options. So Ching Mao is this one, right? So just it will give you more options when it comes to basically um, defeating different opponents. I think in the long term, having Ching Mao available will be a great option. Let me put it that way. Renee says Astaroth, Kark, Martha, Faceless, Celeste. My current team. Sometimes I put Yasmin instead of Faceless. That's somehow wrong synergy, but it gives me a lot of total power. Okay, so I personally think that this is an interesting team. And so, Renee, it sounds like you use. Okay, we'll go ahead and look at this real quick. So, you say your main team is Astaroth, Faceless, Martha, Celeste, Kark, and Martha. Okay, so something like this is your main team, which, hey, those are a lot of good heroes. I will say I personally don't like Celeste in this kind of a team format. I personally prefer like Nebula or actually I do prefer Nebula here. Um, but Celeste is not a bad hero either, especially if you can play manual. But sometimes you put Yasmin in for Faceless. So Yasmin is a very good hero, I think personally. But I will say one issue with running a Yasmin Kark team is the fact that both Yasmin and Kark have low health. So one reason that that's an issue is obviously now you have 3 healers, so that's good. But the issue still is if someone can knock out your basic fighting heroes before you can take out their team, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I personally think, yeah, so I personally, my teams, right, and this is just for me, this is not a suggestion, but this has worked well for me. So because I have a very similar team to what you have, I personally use, this is one of my standard go-to teams. Another team that I really have found is very good is so I'll occasionally take Martha out and I will put in Isaac if I have an opponent who really likes to use like magic attack, let's say twins for example. I'll put in Isaac and this team can actually do very, very well as well. And another one too is to potentially go a different route, just to take out Nebula, but go with Jorgen and Sebastian. And this team is a very all about stealing energy, dealing quick damage using Kark, and just taking out the matchup. So these are a couple of teams that I use regularly. This is just between you guys on the stream and me. I don't want to be sharing this with everyone because then I have to come up with different strategies. But these are the strategies that have been working for me the most lately. So obviously, you got to prepare for people countering your teams, but right now these are the teams that I've found have the most success in terms of battles, um, and just are able to beat most of the top teams on my particular server. So these are a couple teams that I'm going to recommend. I personally really do like this team of Nebula and Faceless as well. Just allows for a power up with a Kark attack followed up by a second Kark attack, right? So a lot of damage being dealt really fast, really a hard hitting, lineup. So that's why I like that. So that's one example of what I use. OBD says, yeah, I am very mindful of when I have Helios teams in arena, so I will take your word for it and level up King Mao or Ching Mao. Yeah, I think Ching Mao is very, very good. And let me run a couple of tests here since I have you guys here real fast just so that we are on the same page. I'm going to use auto and maximum. I realize it's maybe not the most popular method, but it's one measure of how you can go about things. So I'm going to go ahead and do a team like Astaroth, we're going to run ODH for sure because we want to have Helios on this team. So OD, which is Dorian and Helios. Where are you at? Helios. Dorian should be around here somewhere. There's Dorian. I guess I don't want to throw in Jorgen because I would automatically be inclined to use Sebastian. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in Nebula. And we'll throw in your main team. So this is an ODH team. I work on you're working on Nebula. I agree I should put Nebula in. It's just my Celeste is very strong. Hey, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say about Celeste. Celeste is a great hero. Nothing wrong with Celeste. I just want to say that it may be helpful to have Nebula as well. I think Celeste is a wonderful hero. And I realize you're not probably at the point where you can start working on your second team. But I like, so on another account that I play on, my main team uses Celeste. I use the Twins. I use Aurora. And I realize this is a popular team. This is becoming an increasingly popular team now. But this is a team that I use. Where's Sebastian? So this is another team that I really like and that I use. This is my Twins Aurora setup. Obviously, I have to keep in mind Lars is in the last position. So, one thing to know about your teams is the strengths and weaknesses of your team, and the positioning can definitely play a factor. But this is a team that I like with Celeste. I realize, I'm saying, as a second team, but it's something to think about as well because you do eventually need 3 teams for Grand Arena. But Celeste is a great hero, so nothing wrong with having a strong Celeste. I think having a strong Nebula will just give you more options. But I think Celeste is very good as well, so nothing wrong with that. It just, maybe is not the best fit for a card team, but long run, you have nothing to be worried about when you have a strong Celeste. Okay, so going back to OBD here, we have, so his team, I believe, was Yasmin. So we had Astaroth, Nebula, Jorgen. Okay, so Nebula, Jorgen, Yasmin, and who did I miss? Yasmin, Jorgen, Nebula, and Martha, of course. Of course. So this is the team that we would run, right, with OBD's original team. And so we're going to go ahead and take a chance, and I'm going to go ahead and try to, I'm hoping that I can show how Ching Mao can be useful to OBD's team here, right? So first we're going to go ahead and have this matchup, and I think this will be a tough one just because you have Helios on the opposing team. So one thing to note here is going to be, Yasmin is the main attacker here, already under a lot of fire and under a lot of damage. Yasmin got taken out right there by Helios. And it looks like the rest of the team is going to struggle a little bit just because that was the main attacker. So I'm going to go ahead and just speed it up to ×4 like I had it. But so as you can see here, it was just a tough matchup because Helios is very good. So I personally would go with something maybe like this. So let's say you have Astaroth. Let me find him. Astaroth. I think you'll potentially have a better result if you use someone like Ching Mao. Was my suggestion. So let's go ahead and throw Ching Mao in here once I find her. Here's Ching Mao. We will keep Nebula and Martha. So I guess I'm replacing Jorgen. So it would depend on your opponent as well, but this is one here, one team that I would probably consider. And the reason I still have a lot of healing is to try to protect Yasmin's interest in surviving and staying alive as long as possible, giving Ching Mao the opportunity to deal a lot of damage. So let's see how this plays out. I mean, we still might end up being a little bit short because, again, this team's not really, it doesn't have the most defense, but it does have a lot of attack. So, yeah, so Ching Mao there wasn't able to basically utilize its ult fast enough. Let me try Let me try using Jorgen instead of Nebula. So let's try this. I definitely think that Ching Mao is a solution to this team. Um, and if not, I know Kira can also be useful, but I just find that Kira takes longer to get going, even more so than Ching Mao. Let's see. And I mean, obviously, Aurora would make a world of difference against this team, but I still think Ching Mao is a long-term solution. I realize the other thing too that is not factoring in is pets, which actually has a huge impact on how these matchups turn out. So even if we lose here, um, keep in mind we're not able to attach any pets, but I actually think that this team would be pretty good. It's just a matter of right now the results aren't going to show because these are based on straight up heroes. So it's possible we might still lose here, but yeah, I think using a classic cart team is never bad too. It looks like Orion's been pretty effective so far in this matchup. But yeah, I mean the tough thing too is as soon as Yasmin got taken out, Ching Mao also got taken out at the same time. Orion's really tough. But I mean again, I do think Kark is probably the better option when you're facing an ODH team. And Isaac automatically is a huge game changer when it comes to that. So, the results weren't there for that particular matchup, but I do think that with pets, it could be a completely different outcome with Ching Mao. But I do agree that Kark is probably the better option there. Um, and okay, so usually you use Yasmin there. I gotcha. Okay, so usually you use Yasmin instead of Celeste. I think Yasmin's a great hero, especially if you don't have to come across Helios. I just think Helios is a problem for Yasmin. But that's my opinion there. In your opinion, which is better to have if you must pick one for Guild War, stronger hero team or go go Teen Titans, go Squadron? I personally started with Titans. And the reason I started with Titans is because of the bridge, if I'm being 100% honest. So when you get to Guild Wars, and this is a silver map, if we'll call it that. So in gold, there's one more position at each particular location. But if we're looking at this map, right, the key areas to be acquired are going to be the bridge. Oh, I also did max out my Earth Titan team. I don't know if I mentioned that. That happened this week. Um, I finally finished my Silva, which was behind. But anyway, yeah. So I personally think, a strong bridge is very key. Then you also have Titan buildings. So I personally think these are very important as well when it comes to strength. So I would say Titans are probably what I focus on first. And then now I'm going back to heroes. I realize not everyone agrees with this approach. It's a little bit, I'd say it's less, you're going to fall behind on your heroes because you're focusing so much on your Titans when you do it this way. But in the long run, then it's one less thing to worry about when you are done with your Titans and you can focus more on your heroes. So for me, that's what I did. Qingmao is great if second in line on enemy team is not tough in armor health and is a key hero on enemy team. Yeah, absolutely. For Yasmin team, stop using Helios and do this team Kira, Qingmao, Galahad, Nebula, Jet, and 4 more days till my birthday, which is February 24th. Happy early birthday, E. Nathan. I hope you have a great day. I realize, we're going to be in quarantine, so another quarantine birthday, but I hope it's a great one, and I hope you stay safe and are able to have a very, very nice day. So happy birthday in advance. Okay, so Dwayne here says, problem is you never know which heroes developers will nerf next. They'll earn damage. They'll even damage popular heroes like Astaroth and Kira, which they did this past year with the intro of Corvus and Morgan. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think the next hero to get a buff will be Judge, based on the fact that I personally don't know anyone who uses Judge. But I agree with you there. They definitely kind of keep us on our toes when it comes to top heroes. Aurora seemingly became a top hero overnight when they made the adjustment in how they calculate dodge. So that was pretty wild. My Yasmin can survive some pretty upgraded Helios. That's good. I love to hear that, Renee. Um, and especially when your Yasmin is behind Kark, I think that is very helpful too because Yasmin typically stands kind of towards the front. So having a buffer like Kark in front of Yasmin can be helpful in deterring maybe her getting knocked out as quickly. So now your Earth team is ready to rock, doesn't you? Got to max out. Yes, absolutely. So my Earth team is ready to go. If you look, I also finished all of my totems. I pretty much had to use all of my trophies on it, but now I'm officially done with all my totems. They're all level 120. The last part is to do my Titan skins and artifacts. So here you can see I just finished Silva. Silva was the last one that I needed to do. It was this pesky elemental armor. It was level 113 as of early this week. And then I was able to acquire enough essence to finally max it out and finish it off. My next team will probably be the fire team just because I already have Araji finished because he's one of the heroes that or one of the titans that I use in my main team already. So I think Moloch will be my next target to finish, and then I'll probably go to Ignis, followed by Vulcan. So one team down, two more to go, but I'm pretty stoked on that. So thank you so much, Melissa, for the congrats. I appreciate that. And thank you, Negro. I appreciate that as well. Your guild do love you for Great Titans. Heroes is just more fun to play with. I agree. I think heroes are very fun to work, especially when you have the synergy and kind of know which heroes to basically use the most. But I also think that Titans at least for me have allowed me to be in Guild War, which allows you to have better rewards. And then also I personally think Titans are a little bit easier once you do it more. I think heroes are. I guess that's the same thing for heroes, but I do think that um, Titans kind of take more time than heroes. So um, for me, it made most sense to go for Titans first, and then now go back to heroes. So that's what I ended up doing. Another thing that I would recommend for newer players in terms of Guild Wars, I personally recommend, and I realize not everyone's gonna do this or whatever, but I personally recommend having a different team when it comes to your hero team on Guild Wars versus the team that you have in Arena. Just a personal recommendation. You don't have to take me up on it. In fact, all my opponents who are on my server don't do that. That's unnecessary. Keep it the same. You never heard anything from me. But yeah, no, I just think it makes it a little bit more difficult. Maybe it's a little bit less of an opportunity for um, players to test out your defense in arena. You might lose out on a couple of arena defenses though, so I guess take that with a grain of salt. That's just what I do. I'm not going to say that everyone should do that, but that is what I do there. Hello, surprise. Nice to have you here. Always a pleasure. OBD with the free judge kind of symbol here. I love that. Yeah, Judge has definitely been someone that I'm keeping an eye on. I personally don't use Judge at all, but I do think that with a rework, any hero can become a quote unquote top hero. If I'm being 100% honest, um, I think Heidi has improved exponentially since they have done a couple of upgrades to her even, and I personally will have to um, utilize her a little bit more to kind of know all the strengths because she recently got a couple of upgrades with some new skins. And I think Hero Wars has been pretty sneaky with it, but they've definitely made a couple of tweaks within heroes within the game. So um, I've definitely been paying attention and have been noticing that there have been some slight discrepancies in how some of the heroes used to play out. So that's definitely something there. All right. I would love a level 4 totem. I could envy that. Hey, you know what? Congrats on your fourth totem fragment this week. That is absurd. That is amazing. That is awesome. That is crazy good news. I love to hear that. Congratulations, Anegro. That's amazing. Thank you, OBD. I appreciate it. It was of the same element since my first fragment probability ruling over us all in the game. Congrats though, that is amazing. That is a lot of totem fragments. Hey movie star, thank you for coming in. Always a great time when you are here, so I appreciate it. Okay, very cool. It's just so hard to get those fragments. I agree. A lot of luck if you're not using emeralds. And when you are using emeralds, it feels like it takes forever for them to drop anyway. So, yeah, totem fragments, I'm happy to be done with those personally myself. After opening thousands of free ones as well as, using emeralds, it was for me personally, it was a nightmare. But I'm glad that that is now done, and I'm glad that a lot of you guys are progressing really far with your titans and totems, which, I mean, that's awesome. All right, so OBD here says, Jay, I have a question on Facebook. What server do you play on? So on Facebook right now, the two main accounts that I play are on server 35, which is my now main account. Then my other one is on 51, and I am the guild master on server 51. My guild's name is Area 51. We are in Gold League, and we have been in Gold Week almost as long as I remember. So as far as week one that we had Gold League, I think we've been in Gold League. We may have lost and gone to Silver one time or two times, but other than that, we've been doing a very, very good job. I think the only issue that we have lately is people are kind of getting a little bit busy. But yeah, those are the two servers on Facebook specifically that I'm kind of playing the most on. So hopefully that answers your question there. It's a great strategy, Jay. I'd love to do that in Arena, but I have only invested in my main 5. Hey, you know what, Melissa? All I can say is it's never bad to invest in your main 5. I personally just like to have a lot of support heroes. I think support heroes can really make or break your result when it comes to any matchup, and especially for me, when I use Kark, I'm really relying on Kark to survive and do most of the damage for my team. So Kark is just one of those things that I need to protect. And so to protect and maximize his capabilities, I need to have as much support around him as possible. And so that just comes to me in the form of Isaac, Nebula, Sebastian, Faceless, Martha, and also Jorgen, even though he just, I guess, is given a little bit less of a power ranking. But these are the heroes that I need to have them available, so I can have my Kark shine and just dominate, even against an Anvari, right? So having the right support can really make all the difference in a matchup. So I completely understand, though. Sometimes it's hard. I definitely did not just stick with 5, which is also, there was a time when I was losing a lot of matchups because I wasn't focusing on just 5 heroes. So you'll have faster growth that way initially, but I will say, don't neglect other heroes. Also, if you have time, definitely try to utilize some other supports as well. But overall, it's never wrong to just have your main 5 be the ones that you invest the most in. That's completely understandable and respect. I think it's a respected move, as long as you don't, maybe level everyone up at the same time. Personally, in my opinion, is maybe not the best move. But I think there's nothing wrong with investing just in your main 5. Can someone start an account on server 25, 24 web? Um, I think web definitely has 24 servers by now. I'd have to double check. So I'm sure that's totally possible. Arachne and mobile is better than Facebook and web. Tell me how. Absolutely. So with Arachne on Facebook and web, which I believe she's very much almost the exact same character. Let me find. Okay, scrolling is kind of being annoying. We will get there, though. We will get there. It's just we're getting a slight delay, which was annoying. Okay, there we go. There's Arachne on Facebook. So Demolition Robot, Teleport, Underground Strike, and Neurotoxin are her main abilities. Let me find her on my mobile game, which is in my hand. Sorry, I can't show you my screen. I will have to get a connector eventually so that you guys can actually see my mobile gaming as well. Um, so it looks to me like Demolition Robot, the Facebook and mobile version, does more damage. Teleport looks like it also does more damage. It looks like everything on Facebook right now is dealing more damage in terms of statistical analysis, with the exception of neurotoxin. But these three here have a 20% advantage. So you see how it says 25% magic attack? On mobile, for me, it's less than that. It's 20%. And on the second teleport skill here, it's just 100%, not 120. And with Underground Strike, there's a 90% magic attack as opposed to 70 on mobile. I think the key distinction here, and I'm going to have to double check now, was the artifacts was the game changer for mobile versus Facebook and web. My belief was that, and I got to double check it now that you're pointing this out specifically, because I haven't looked at Arachne too carefully lately. But I want to say that the biggest thing that people were complaining about was the fact that the artifacts were different. And I know Arachne has recently been reworked as well. So I can't confirm that without having a closer look here. So let me find my Arachne. Here's Arachne. So the first one, yeah. So on mobile, the first skill grants armor, where on Facebook and web, we now have physical attack. We also have magic attack for the second one. So I'm going to go ahead and say, the more that I'm looking at this, I think this may be backwards. I think Arachne on Facebook and web is going to be better than on mobile, because I know Arachne recently had a rework on Facebook. It was a very minor one. They didn't have an event or anything like that. They just made the change. I believe I got to double check that now, but I'm pretty sure the more I'm looking at this, I think the mobile one is still behind. And I think the Facebook one is better. The Facebook and web one is now better than the mobile one. So thank you for that question. And I think, all around, I think the artifacts have been reworked for Facebook and web. Before, though, I want to say mobile was better because the stats were better for Arachne on mobile. But with the rework of Arachne, I think I want to say it happened last month. So in January it happened, and I think we are now, thanks for pointing that out. It definitely is something to note. Okay, so Renee here says, I'm on server 52, Golden Lions. We are third best guild on our server. Congrats, that's amazing. Third is very difficult. I think the thing with first and second is those are the ones who just spent the most money usually. It's really rough, but being third is nothing to sneeze at. That is amazing, and that's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations, Renee, and to your guild, Golden Lions. Okay, so surprise, I'm in We Play to Win on server 24. Surprise, that doesn't surprise me at all, because I definitely know you are a competitive guy, and I love that about you. All right, so movie start. Justin, did you post that video of your friend finishing campaign in auto mode? I did not. I still need to get the footage. I messaged him twice about it, but I will message him again tonight, and I will make sure to get that footage, and I will do my best to have it up before my next stream. That's my promise to you. I'm gonna work on that. I promise, and I apologize for not having it to you already. That is on me. What is the deal with heroes playing different across the platforms? How on mobile someone is washed, but on web they're goat? Yeah, no. That's a great point. And I think it's crazy that they have on mobile Sebastian just totally like way weaker on mobile than on Facebook and web. That to me is a complete question mark. I don't understand that. Mobile is a little bit behind Facebook and web in terms of platforms. Facebook is the main, in my opinion, game of Hero Wars. Then you have web, who's I would say like hours behind Facebook in terms of updates. And then you have mobile, who, in my opinion, right now is about 3 months behind Facebook, if I'm being 100% honest, maybe a little bit more. It's just like they try to keep up, but they don't implement everything. And I think part of it is the fact that the screen's so small, as well as some other mobile um, barriers. And I think part of that is, the App Store, as well as, kind of the Play Store. So, you have Android and mobile, or Android and Apple, and both of them have very strict guidelines when it comes to mobile applications. So I think it's a little bit more difficult to roll out new stuff. But I also realize that the platforms are separate, which again, I think is pretty crazy. I think they should just allow all of them to be played across all platforms. But I wasn't the one who made the game or anything like that. That's just my personal opinion. Just downloaded BlueStacks. Um, Download the Heroes app and play it like a simulation on your PC. Yeah, OBD. I actually do have BlueStacks on my computer. I personally play. What do you call it? Oh, I play Among Us on BlueStacks. Pretty fun game. I don't know what you guys think. Um, my GM made a video beating Seymour in auto mode. Congrats, Renee. If they're on server 52, they dropped some money. I'm gonna say that, and I'm not gonna say any more about that. Because beating Seymour in auto mode, you need to have, in my opinion, an almost all absolute team. So congrats to them. That's crazy. Um, Dwayne, a little known fact is that Arachne is quite useful on Facebook web when facing Kark, Sebastian, Nebula lineups. All right, Dwayne, do you mind elaborating on that a little bit, and sharing your thoughts on that too? I kind of tend to agree, and I know one popular usage was to have I want to say Maya, and using Maya with Arachne, and I'm gonna need someone to confirm that for me here, just because I personally don't use that combo very often slash ever now. But that's definitely something that I've heard as well. And I know Arachne actually has a lot more usage now that there's been, in my opinion, an improvement on her abilities. I actually kind of forgot that she got that because there's been so many distractors in the terms of new heroes and new things coming in. So I definitely think that Arachne could be useful. But maybe could you specify on how it's good specifically against those cart teams? Um, I personally agree. I personally don't use it enough to be able to be an expert on it. And you telling me this now, I personally haven't had a chance to test it out too much. I'm on web server 10. Hey, web has some great. I think web is a little bit underrated. I'm a big fan of web. I personally don't play web as much as I should, and I think part of that is I'm just so invested on this particular account now on Facebook that I don't have any spare change to really spend on web. That's my fault, but it is what it is. I think web is great. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of today, and also just a heads up. So next week, I will be talking about events to expect for March because I've already gotten questions about what events to expect in March, as well as what are some of my tips looking to those events. So I will definitely get into that for sure. The Guildmaster used Orion, Sebastian, and Thea with Oliver to beat Seymour. Okay, all right, cool. How long have you played? Okay, yep, I play on web on server 12. Looks like we got a lot of web players. I got love for you guys. I think that's pretty awesome. I think it's cool when people play multiple platforms as well, like I do, because I personally think the game's super fun, and I really enjoy hearing other people comment on it too, because I think it's a lot of work, but I think there's a lot of pride that goes into playing across platforms. Arachne was the Yasmin killer before Helios took the mantle. I think that's a good point, and I think if Arachne can land that teleportation attack, that really makes sense to me. I think I think she deals a lot of damage with that. I remember that being like a key skill when I first started playing in Hero Wars. So I think that's pretty. I think that's a very accurate statement. All right. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, so with that, I need to make sure that I do a couple more quests here real quick, just to make sure that I've done them. Oh, I haven't even claimed my Valk favor. Gotta do that now. OBD plays on all Hero Wars platforms. Hats off to you. I think it's a lot of work. I do as well, but I definitely find that it's definitely, in my opinion, been a struggle to maintain all my accounts. At times, other times it's pretty straightforward. But let me know what you think and how that's going for you. I personally think it's impressive, and I think hats off to you for doing that. And I think it just shows. I think Hero Wars is a very fun game, even though again, we were all kind of tricked into playing it long term, but I think it's pretty fun, and I want to, that's my hot take. Been playing for 6 months now. Cool, cool, cool. All right, guys. So since that seems to be most of the questions that we've had for tonight, I'm thinking I'm going to wrap up this live stream tonight. I want to thank everyone for coming in today and basically hanging out. Um, and just spending the time to basically take some time away from everything that's super serious, have some fun, hang out with some great people in the Hero Wars community. So I just want to say thank you to you all. Thank you for hitting that thumbs up button. I see a lot of you guys have been doing that. And I just want to say thank you again. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. And I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Thank you so much for watching, guys.